at you. So we are recommending. So the way that GDOT is
Call upstairs and have them bring another.
yeah, it's in the intersection.
Veronica's at the front and Rachel's at her desk. Rachel has one on standby.
Eventually, I
NPO.
can leave Lois Foreman.
They just put me on hold. That's me, 1796.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You're good.
Okay, there's live.
It was?
I guess we're saying that. Oh, wrong. I'm sorry. It's just the intersection.
On hold. All right. And they got two of them up there. Yeah, I'm still on hold.
But if there's activities,
I can do the meeting statement when y'all ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the May Planning Commissioners meeting. We apologize for the delay, but we are going to go ahead and get started here. If the staff is ready, can we have the opening statement?
Good afternoon. The Augusta, Georgia Planning Commission is a recommending body. The final decision on all zoning matters coming before it will be made by the Augusta Commission on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in the Augusta Commission chambers at the Municipal Building. The Planning Commission makes the final decision on all variances, including subdivision regulations. A handout describing the zoning procedures from which these cases are decided is available upon request. These procedures also require that any applicant for a rezoning action or any opponent to an application for a rezoning action who has made contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official within 2 years of the rezoning application to file a disclosure report with the governing authority. The disclosure report must be filed within 10 calendar days of the filing application and at least 10 calendar days prior to today's hearing. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for the presentation of data, evidence, and opinions on each side of a rezoning petition or a special exception. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then an equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other side. The Commission encourages participation in this hearing, and there is no restriction on who may address the Commission within the allotted time. But the Commission asks that the public comments be brief, on subject and non-repetitive, and directed to the commission and not to any individual or group. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Director Delaney. Okay, so we will take the agenda from top to bottom.
Yes, sir. Item number 1, Z-25-07, is a petition by Southern Civil Solutions, LLC, on behalf of Property Developers, LLC, requesting a rezoning from Zone R1A to Zone R1E to develop a townhome community affecting properties containing approximately 41.5 acres. They are located at 3302, 3304, 3306, 3308, 3310, 3312, 3316, and 3330 Gibson Road. And there are other parcels off of Wynn Drive and Tate Drive that we can provide to any interested parties. With that being said, staff will present the details.
Amanda Cruz, Planner 1. This application involves 10 adjacent residential parcels totaling 41.5 acres of land. The petition seeks to rezone the properties from R1A, one-family residential, to R1E, one-family residential, to develop single-family attached townhome development containing 319 lots. The tracts are currently vacant, undeveloped land. The concept plan presented with the rezoning application proposes the following: 319 attached townhome units with lot widths of 26 feet and an overall density of 7.7 units per acre. 9.12 acres of open space, public streets throughout the development with access points on Gibson Road, emergency access points located off of Wynn Drive, Tate Road, and Mason Drive, guest parking spaces dispersed throughout the development, mail kiosks, a clubhouse, and a pool, 3 stormwater detention ponds, and a 15-foot buffer surrounding the development on all sides. According to the 2023 comprehensive plan, the property is located within the South Augusta character area. Mixed use and planned unit developments are encouraged at infill sites and at abandoned commercial properties, enhancing walkability and reducing car dependency. Moving into the findings, there are no recent zoning history petitions for this property. In an R1E zone, proposed developments must maintain a minimum of 25% open space. This development offers approximately 22% open space, which does not satisfy the zoning requirement. The site has access to public water, but not sanitary sewer. According to the FEMA Flood Insurance Rate Maps firm, the properties are not located within a special flood hazard area. According to the Augusta-Richmond County GIS map layer, there are no wetlands located on the properties. Public transit is not currently available near the subject properties. According to the Georgia Department of Transportation State Functional Classification Map, Gibson Road, Wynn Drive, and Tate Road are all classified as local roads. Based on the preliminary traffic impact assessment worksheet, our traffic engineering department has indicated that a traffic study shall be conducted to determine needed improvements to the existing road infrastructure. The development provides 2 parking spaces per driveway, which totals 638 driveway spaces. The development must provide 80 guest parking spaces, and their concept plan shows that they've provided 92 parking spaces. The adjacent zoning districts to the north are R1A, one-family residential, and agriculture. Properties to the south and west are zoned R1A, one-family residential. Properties to the east are zoned R1A and R1E and agriculture. The proposed change in zoning to R1E would be consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan. However, the overall density of the surrounding area is around 4.3 units per acre, which is less than what the applicants are proposing at this time. At the time and completion of the report, staff have received many inquiries regarding the petition as advertised. We did receive many comments from our engineering and utilities departments. I will read them into the record. Our engineering team has said that the interior roads should be realigned at intersections to provide better sightseeing and to be more perpendicular. The engineer needs to look into connecting some of the Hammerhead Road sections to allow for better interior road connectivity. Mason Road is requested by AED to be removed as an access point due to the proximity of it to Gibson Road. This would conflict with the subdivision regulation and the required number of entrances. Gibson Road needs to be improved to meet current Augusta standards. Wind Drive would be improved from the new connection point eastward out to Old McDuffie. The Tate Road access would be emergency access only and be gated as approved by the fire department. The units between Gibson Road and Mason Road would have their driveways switched to Mason Road. Utilities commented that there is a water line that is available for their use on Gibson Road, and that there is a sewer line that is available for their use on Mason Road. However, it would need to be extended to their site. They need to make sure that when they're laying out the lots that they accommodate AUD requirements on sewer and water service locations. If water and sewer service locations cannot be met on their lots, they would need to look at master metering at this site, and all sewer will be private once it hits their site. This concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Sir, if you could come forward and give us your name, address, and any details on your project.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Gary Bennett with Southern Civil Solutions. My address is 5810 Carriage Hills Drive, Martinez, Georgia. I think Ms. Cruz did a great job of summarizing where we're at today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any commissioners have questions of the petitioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Cook.
is the developer willing to reduce the density of this project?
Oh, greetings, everyone. My name is Kavyesh Trivedi. I represent Property LLC, is the developer for this project. At present, this is the concept what we are working on. We are working with the town planning and development commissions, essentially engineering departments, to see how best to kind of like make the roads and stuff. So I do expect the density to go down a bit. Again, I don't know exactly until we go in the detailed design phase how much it would be.
Any other commissioners have questions? Anybody in the audience opposed to this petition? Did you have a,
I have a question for the staff.
okay, Commissioner,
I was contacted that there was not sufficient water or sewer to the site. Is
That was not communicated to us, sir. And the other thing with this type of development, they're going to have to collaborate during the site plan process to, whether that means expanding the lines or improving the capacity for service. But we do have, utilities has verified that there is water and sewer in the vicinity that they can tap into. But they will have to improve it, of course.
Okay, well, this just came from a neighbor that said they've been waiting for the water system to be improved for years, and that had not happened. Okay. Then I have a few questions for the developer. I'm going to ask, would you be willing to put some single-family detached, let's say 50% single-family detached and 50% townhomes on the site?
We can definitely consider that. What we have been seeing primarily, the market after COVID, you have a lot of more requirements for townhomes because they provide easy living, maintenance-free living, so families can kind of live there and not have to worry about cutting the grass and stuff like that. That's all taken care by the HOA. That's why we are proposing this development, since there are not many townhomes in that area. There is already a single-family home project by D.R. Horton that's right next door. So I don't know how marketable that would be, but we can definitely consider willing to do that if that's a requirement.
And the reason I say that is that we're seeing, or I'm seeing that these large-scale townhomes have a lifespan of 5 years, and they start traveling downhill with the occupants there, and then they end up being a burden on the community. So what I've been hoping for is that we get not large-scale townhomes, is that we get a combination. If we do have to make the townhomes available and can't do it all single-family detached, do it with enough single-family detached to support the townhome community around it. So, and that's just my point.
No, I understand what you are trying to say, sir, and I appreciate what you are bringing to the table. But again, Like I said, this is just the concept at present, right? So this would be the first step in kind of knowing if we can build this. And even if this is approved, we can't really build everything at once. That would be not financially viable, right? So it would be done in phases. So based on phases, if we do find that, hey, in the first phase, if you are building, let's say, 100 townhomes, and they don't sell out or they are not occupied enough, right, then obviously the builder is going to reconsider, and we can kind of like change half of them to, like you are saying, to residential family or stuff like that, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions from commissioners? Okay, Director Delaney.
If I can clarify again, I want to make sure we said it the right way. With regards to the sewer, it's at Mason, so the developer would have to work with AUD to get to Mason and bring that line down for sewer. I just wanted to make sure we said that correctly. Apologies.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that, okay. Anybody in the audience that opposes this petition? Keep your hands, if you raise them high, we're gonna get a count. Anybody in support? Okay, does the, for the opposition, does anybody want to speak? Anybody want to express your opposition? All right, sir. So that we can keep this orderly, to the opposition, you'll have a balance of 10 minutes. So if you just be mindful that you all have 10 minutes, and then we will allow the petitioner to address the opposition.
Good evening, sirs and madams. How are you doing today? As Brother Cook tells us, we got to tell you what our address is. I'm Bobby Williams, 3105 Bellmead Drive. I'm not against the project, but I think we do have some people here who want to see certain things done with the project. The one particular thing, and I think Ms. Graham also, I don't know if she's going to come up and speak, but you've got an emergency exit that they want to construct coming out to Tate Road. I think that's not going to be something that's good for the community. We just put speed humps on Tate Road because people were roaring up and down Tate Road. There were some other things that were going on Tate Road that we were taking a look at. They said it's an emergency exit, and the way it was explained to me was that it would be something where if the fire department comes, only they will have access to it. Well, you and I know human beings. You can put a lock on it, you can tie it up, you can do some other things. But if I want to get in and out of it, I'd take some bolt cutters and just cut it and go in and out of it or what have you. So I'm asking you to either do one or two things, either give them what is called, Ms. Delaney can tell you, an exception so that they can have 3 exits, or look at the map and find another exit out rather than coming into that community. I don't know how many of you have been on Tate Road, but it's not a large street. It's not a large community there. So if you have an exit there, it will ruin what is there today. Thank you. So please consider the exception.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Jordan Davis. I have properties at 2309, 2311, 2316, 2319, and 2321 Mason Road, as well as 3340 Milledgeville Road. My mom, who's here, lives on 3331 Kinney Road, and have property as well on 3330 and 3328 Milledgeville Road. I'm also here on behalf of the other Bayville Heights community members and tax-paying citizens that have been selected to talk on behalf of the consensus opinion that these proposed townhome developments have a density that is too high for the area. The security, since it's not being required to be fenced in as a community, the people on Wynn Drive, the townhome residents could then therefore walk to wind drive through these people's backyards, because if there's only going to be a 15-foot organic buffer, that doesn't really prohibit people from transpiring to and from the properties, as well as to the Beldmead Landing single detached homes on the other property. We also have besides the safety, the street light issue on the surrounding roads, that there is any of the lights on those surrounding local roads are paid for by the citizens, not the county. The other issues are the water and sewer in the surrounding areas, not necessarily to this property being developed, but the surrounding areas do not have these services as sewer. Also, when it comes to the townhomes that are extruding out on Gibson, we would like for there to be a application of the proposal to exclude those townhomes, because it's not conducive to the people that live on Gibson to look out their house and see townhomes blocking their view. I understand they've now changed it to where it's facing Mason Drive at the top, but it just seems like this plan keeps changing in short time, and they are taking our considerations, and we appreciate that. But my request is that we postpone this to a later date and start getting more facts and more things concrete instead of just keep changing things. Not to mention, there's 2 properties on Old McDuffie Road that are woods. This is 2346 as well as 4342. Both are 4 acres apiece. That would then allow traffic to go onto Old McDuffie Road that can withstand the traffic that this townhome development would require, as well as it would allow more townhomes if necessary, which would be more of a profit line and a tax revenue. Also, because of the density and all that, with the E1 or 1E, if a portion of it, like I said, the one on Gibson, could then be changed to single homes, I know that would appease a lot of people in the area. But I think ultimately, the ABC daycare that has a location on Milledgeville, as well as on Pecan Street, on Wynn, there is a bend in the road, and I'm surprised there's not more accidents. And we're talking about children as well as staff members for this daycare. So in order for this development to go in, a consideration of the roads and bridges study should probably be done in effect first before we get this approved. But as far as the townhomes go on the 38 acres, that can be something that's good for the city if done right and done well. And that's the only thing we request with y'all, is to consider all these facts and making something that I'm 30 years old, and in 30, 40 years from now, this has a great impact on my life and my family. And it's just, will it last good and stay good? Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Grant. I live at 3225 Tate Road, where the proposed gate emergency entrance is supposed to go. I am not against townhomes. I am not against the developers. I am against that road right next to my house. If there could be a single-family house there instead of a road, because your gates would have to be awfully large for somebody not to jump over them, somebody not to do something. We do have a lot of traffic, and that's why the speed humps were along that area, and the traffic would be going in and out next door to me. It's enough noise with the traffic going there now. I'd just like for you to consider, if you're going to put a gate there, an emergency entrance and exit, make it large enough so no one can jump it, no one can get back and forth that easily. Because I did ask the question, if there is anywhere in Augusta that you have a entrance gate, the emergency gate in a subdivision. If you do, I'd like to know where it is, so I can go and I can see and I can ask those neighbors how it's working out. Because I do find fault in what's being proposed as far as that gate. So I object to that emergency entrance right there. Thank you.
Thank you. So you have a balance of 2 minutes.
So the politician and Baptist deacon have 2 minutes. Be bright, be brief, and be gone. The best thing I heard in all this deliberations about this project is about the density of the project. I think 319 units on less than 41 acres after you build the clubhouse and things of that nature is too great. To me, this is
Excuse me, sir. I sincerely apologize for interrupting the preacher.
I'm gonna give you my name and address.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm
You
gonna
knew
give you that.
You knew
I
was
heard
gonna
that.
ask for.
Yeah, I got you. I know what you require and what Brother Cook required. I just think the density is too great. This is a glorified, to me, apartment complex. We need homes and families to come in this community, not something that's gonna be built 5 or 6 or 10 years later. It's a disgrace to the community. So I ask that if you can consider building houses with some townhomes, that plan should have been presented. So I just rise to oppose the density of the project. 7 units on this amount of land is too great a project for our community. Let's get families in there where they can live in a decent environment. My name is George Brown. I live at 3107 Bellamy Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, sir. To the petitioner, you have an opportunity to respond to the comments that you just heard.
We have made a request for Tate Road to be removed as an access point. There is some discussion between engineering and planning as far as the requirements there. We understand planning's requirements as far as the number of accesses in, and that's the reason why it was shown. But that would be something we would talk about through final design to try to improve that. As far as some of the other stuff, I don't know that we can really talk to the security or street light. I mean, some of that stuff is outside of the development, scope. But the developers are committed to working through and getting this project where something everybody can be proud of.
All right, thank you, sir. I did see a number of people who were in support. Does the supporting side want to speak at all? Okay, if not, all right, staff recommendations.
All right, this is a long one. I'm giving you pre-notice now. So the Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request to R1E with the following conditions. Number 1, that there shall be a minimum lot width of 26 feet. Number 2, the development must have alternating elevations with at least 6 different facades, all alternating and none more than 30% vinyl siding. Number 3, parking spaces should be evenly dispersed throughout the development with no more than 5 spots in a row. Number 4, the sidewalks are required on both sides of the streets within the subdivision. Additionally, sidewalks must be extended along Gibson Road, ending at the intersection of Gibson Road and Mason Road. Number 5, the development must comply with all aspects of the Augusta Tree Ordinance. Number 6, the development must provide at least 25% open space. Such space may include common areas, buffers, landscape yards, water feature areas, and any natural areas. However, detention ponds do not count towards this requirement. Number 7, all amenities, including the dog park, playground, must be included within the development and installed and fully operational prior to the 151st certificate of occupancy being issued. Number 8, pursuant to Section 400 of the Land Subdivision Regulations, with greater than 300 lots, they must have 4 entrances onto a public street or must interconnect. With that being said, the adjoining and adjacent existing publicly maintained street or road or right-of-way are acceptable. If this condition cannot be met, a subdivision variance must be applied for through the Planning Commission at a future date. Number 9, Gibson Road and Wind Drive will need to be improved to meet the Augusta standards for road systems to support the number of lots and vehicular traffic that will result from the development of this tract of land. Number 10, approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan submitted with the rezoning application. The proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. The development of number 11, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, as amended at the time of development. This includes compliance with dead-end streets, turnaround requirements, and street length requirements. In addition to that, number 12, prior to the building permits being issued, elevations and exterior building materials must be approved by the Planning Commission. And that concludes staff's recommendations at this time.
Sir, do you accept those staff recommendations?
Yes, we do. Just one comment, we don't have a dog park there, but other amenities, I get it. I think we have the playground and clubhouse.
Okay, staff, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we postpone for a minimum of 30 days for the community to become more aware of what's going on here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a substitute motion for denial.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to deny this petition. Let's do a roll call vote.
All right, so that is a motion to, a substitute motion to deny Z 2507. Commissioner Cooks, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Owens?
No.
Commissioner O'Neill? That's the motion to deny. You know what?
As a point of clarification, you're voting against your own motion.
Yeah, so it's yes.
Is that intentional?
No.
Okay, so it's, the motion on the floor is to deny the application as presented. So we're looking for a yes or a no on the motion to deny.
Yes.
So we'll start over if that's okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for
All
the
right,
clarification.
we'll start over.
How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Clark? No. No. Commissioner Liercy? No. All right, and Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Abstain.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes?
All right, you just hold on. I get everybody? Yeah. Yep, it passed. It's passing. Mhm. So so substitute motion did pass for a denial, but we still have to do another one, don't we? You didn't take it the first one? Okay, okay.
So the motion on the floor to deny has been successful. It is denied. The recommendation moving towards to the full commission will be that of denial. Okay? That brings us to our next application. Item number 2. Z-25-11. It is a petition by Southern Civil Solutions LLC on behalf of the Property Developers LLC requesting a rezoning from Zone R1A 1 Family Residential to Zone B1 Neighborhood Business to develop an office complex affecting properties containing approximately 1.45 acres located at 3301 and 3303 Gibson Road. Staff will present more details.
This on. Amanda Cruz, Planner 1. The rezoning request consists of 2 adjacent residential tracts with a combined area of 1.45 acres. The site is located at the intersection of Gibson Road and Mason Road. The applicant seeks to rezone the properties from R1A 1 Family Residential to B1 Neighborhood Business to establish a 15,600 square foot commercial center based on the conceptual plan submitted with the application. According to the 2023 comprehensive plan, the property is located within the South Augusta character area. Mixed use and plan unit developments are encouraged at infill sites and abandoned commercial properties, enhancing walkability and reducing the car dependency. The properties remain vacant land. There are no recent zoning history petitions for this property. The conceptual plan proposes a rear setback of 25 feet where a 50-foot setback would be required. A variance through the Board of Zoning Appeals would be necessary to move forward with the proposed concept plan. In Section 4-2 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, the minimum parking requirement for general retail sales is 1 space for each 200 square feet of retail sales area, plus 1 space for each 1,000 square feet of remaining leasable area used for storage or work area. An office requires 1 space for each 300 square feet of gross floor area. In Section 4-5 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, general retail sales requires 1 loading space for the first 10,000 square feet of floor area, plus 1 space for each additional 50,000 square feet of floor area. The plan identifies 20 off-street parking spaces, but no loading spaces. The properties can be served by both public water and sanitary sewer. The Georgia Department of Transportation GDOT Functional Classification Map of 2017 classifies this section of Gibson Road and Mason Road as local roads. Public transportation is not available near the properties. Adjacent zoning to the west is R1A, one-family residential, to the east R1A, to the south R1A, and to the north R1A, surrounded by one-family residential. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate maps firm, the properties are not located in special flood hazard area. According to the Augusta-Richmond County GIS wetland layer, there are no national wetlands located on the property. However, the conceptual plan delineates localized wetlands that are located on the property. The proposed change in zoning to B1 is consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan. At the time of completion of the report, staff have received many inquiries regarding this application. And we did receive comments from utilities stating that there is both water on Gibson Road and a sewer line on Mason Road that are available for their use. That concludes the staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Petitioner present, is there any additional information that you want to provide on this particular petition?
Just so that all of you are aware, we did have community meetings, like 3 community meetings since the last presentation on this property and the early one. The goal for this commercial or the professional services neighborhood business units is essentially to cater to the townhome community that would be built, so that the residents have kind of like access to some of the neighborhood businesses in that area. That's what this brand zoning application is for.
Right, thank you, sir. Commissioners, you have questions of the petitioner? Seeing none, anybody oppose this project in the audience? Same, okay. Support? Similar, all right. Is there any new comments that you want to make on this particular petition? All right, sir, if you'll come forward and restate your name and address. Same as before, balance of 10 minutes, if you could direct your comments directly to the commission.
Yes, sir. My name is Andrew Jordan Davis. I have properties on 2309, 2311, 2316, 2319, 2321 Mason Road, and these are all on the same road of this proposed project. I have a marketing degree from Augusta University, and I have not heard of any marketing research done or feasibility study to warrant this, even with the houses or townhomes done. There are multiple vacant commercial spaces on Milledgeville, Dean's Bridge, Gordon Highway. Those are more suitable places for such commercial spaces, and not putting it in a residential R1A or even a R1E until those were to have been even developed. And now, even if the townhomes were to have been developed, I believe that's something to get rezoned at the time of the completion of that, not now. So I request a denial or postponement as well for this. And just for y'all to consider the implications of putting a commercial space in an area that may not last for a couple years and then be boarded up like the rest of the area. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you have the opportunity to respond.
No, I think we had very good response from the community in the community meetings, and we tried to consider it. One of the issues that was brought up was vagrancy in the area, and having some of these developments will kind of take care of it. I do understand what they're trying to say, that it's not developed, but this is kind of like the corner-facing lot, and once we have some development there, then definitely there is potential to kind of like have some commercial businesses in there, and that's why we would still like to propose it.
All right, thank you, sir. To the supporters, anybody want to speak on your support for this petition? All right, seeing none, staff recommendations.
If I may, I want to make sure, I did step away just a moment to speak to the applicant. Because the projects are intertwined, I have recommended to the applicant that they request to withdraw this application without prejudice so that it could be considered as a total package, as you know, because they are somewhat dependent upon each other. They have instructed me that they are not interested in separating, in waiting or withdrawing without prejudice just a few moments ago. So I did want you all to know that I did make that suggestion before you move into motions and things of that nature, okay? All right, that being said, on this particular application, the planning and development staff did recommend approval of the application with the following conditions. Number one, the permitted uses of the site would be limited to, I think I flipped to the wrong page. I'm sorry, y'all. My apologies. I'm on the mixed use one. All right, here we go. The planning and development staff recommended approval of the rezoning request to B1 with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant must comply with all related aspects of the Augustus tree ordinance for B1 zoning. Number two, any proposed lighting fixtures must be directed downward and not toward any buildings. Number three, approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval of the conceptual site plan submitted with the rezoning application. The proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. And number four, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations as set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, as amendment at the time of development. This includes the compliance with dead-end streets, turnaround requirements, and street length requirements. And that concludes staff's recommendation.
Do you accept those recommendations from staff?
Yes, we do.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to deny, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been properly moving, seconded to deny.
All right, so that was a motion to deny Z 2511 by Cooks and Davis. Was one all in favor?
Let's do a roll call.
We'll do roll call?
Yeah.
All right, so Commissioner Cooks, how do you vote, sir?
Deny.
Commissioner Owens? Yes, to deny. Commissioner Clark? Approve. Commissioner Larissy? No, you say yes to deny. Yes to deny? You say no to the denial.
So, no.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Larissy? Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
And Commissioner McKnight?
Yes, to deny.
All right, so Z 2511 has been denied.
All right. That being said, we will move on to item number 3. We will give you an opportunity to exit the chambers if you wish. We would welcome you to stay for the remaining portion of the agenda.
Yeah.
All right. Item number 3 is 25-14. It is a petition by Honesta Real Estate Group LLC on behalf of MPL Construction requesting to amend PUD zoning conditions from case Z-23-54 for major modifications to the mixed-use development proposing 312 residential units affecting properties containing approximately 21.54 acres located at 1312, 1314, 1408, and 1409 Steiner Avenue and 1733 Mill Street. This is on page 25 in your packet. Staff will present more details.
All right, Kevin Boyd, Development, Development Services Manager. This case involves 5 vacant parcels covering approximately 24 acres near the Turpin Hill neighborhood. These parcels are identified on the conceptual plan as tracts A through E. The applicants request to develop mixed-use development that consists of single-family attached and detached housing, multifamily apartments, and various commercial uses. The site directly abuts MLK Jr. Boulevard, Steiner Avenue, Clay Street, Anderson Avenue, Garrett Lane, and a portion of Mill Street right-of-way. A mill operated on the site for many years and is believed that hazardous materials may have contaminated the soil. As a result, the site requires some environmental cleanup. The concept plan presented with the rezoning application proposes the following: a 5-story apartment with garage, with ground floor retail, 5-story parking garage, 4-story apartment loft, 3-story retail medical office, 2-story event space and restaurant, townhome units, single-family lots, dining patio, wine bar, which is approximately 4,000 square feet, Central Park, clubhouse with cafe, office, which is about 5,500 square feet, 1 detention area, and parket and dog parks. The conceptual plan identifies 3 pod areas, pods A, B, and C. Pod A is approximately 6.04 acres, and it allows for a mixture of multifamily apartment and commercial development. Pod B is approximately 8.10 acres and allows for a mixture of multifamily and light commercial development. And Pod C is approximately 9.86 acres and allows for attached and detached single-family and light commercial development. In terms of the findings, the properties remain vacant, undeveloped land. Back in January 2024, this Planning Commission, the Augusta Commission, approved a zone change request from R1C and LI to PUD with approximately 21 conditions. This new proposal for a PUD, this amendment is overhaul of the previously approved zoning application, and so the conditions are different, substantially different. Number 3 in the findings is that the applicant proposes to rezone this PUD, still maintaining a mixed-use product. In their conceptual plan for Pod A, they're seeking maximum residential density of 36 units per acre, or 218 units rather, and commercial density of 7,500 square feet an acre, or roughly 45,300 square feet of commercial space. Pod B would be a maximum residential density of 12 units per acre, or approximately 98 units, with a commercial intensity of 4,500 square feet per acre, or 36,465 square feet gross area. And for Pod C, there would be a maximum density of 6 units per acre, or 60 units, and a commercial intensity of 1,000 square feet per acre, or 9,860 square feet. The total parking proposed is 549 spaces. Majority of that will be surface parking to accommodate from much of the multifamily and commercial uses for pods A and B. Many single-family uses will have individual garages and driveways which will provide 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. Residential units that do not have garages will have wider 16-foot wide driveways. And guest parking for the townhomes will also be available as on-street parking on the nearby streets measured within 300 feet of each unit. In terms of buffers, there are a series of streets that would maintain a minimum 10-foot street yard buffer. That includes MLK Boulevard, Clay Street in Pod B, Clay Street in Pod C, Anderson Avenue, and some that will not include buffers, that will include Steiner Avenue and Garrett Lane, as well as Clay Street and Pod B. And there will have to be coordination with the engineering departments and during the site plan review process to see how that is produced or the execution of that through that process. Coordination with the engineering department would be essential with the application of street yards and on-street parking. And so there will be landscape buffers against the existing residential, 10 feet minimum landscape buffering, and along the existing railroad, and commercial to residential, also a 10-foot buffer. Augusta Transit does have lines that run along MLK and Mill Street. Per the Georgia Department of Transportation GI Functional Classification Map 2017, MLK is identified as a minor arterial street, while Mill Street is identified as collector street, and the other streets, Steiner, Clay Street, Anderson Avenue, are all considered local minor roads. There are 2 environmental studies that were conducted back in 2023 when this PERS was considered by the commission, and the results of phase 2 of the environmental study found that there were no levels requiring notification by the state of Georgia with regards to Hazardous Site Response Act, HSRA. There are no special flood hazard area found on the site, as well as no wetlands. The rezoning request staff finds is consistent with aspects of the 2023 comprehensive plan. It supports revitalization of vacant, underutilized lots for greater housing commercial opportunities. And at the time of the completion of the staff report, staff has received a few inquiries, none in opposition of the request. We did receive comments from engineering utilities. From traffic engineering, their comment was that from a traffic point of view, no major issues proposed with this design, that a traffic study impact study will be necessary to determine the improvement for existing roadways. Stormwater comments was that no detention is proposed for any of the pods since all of the space in this area is being used will pose a problem. They did identify 1 detention area, but I'm sure with the vast amount of impervious surfaces, it will require additional mitigation. And they also mentioned that there are a few items that they see, but nothing would affect the zoning. So a lot of these items will be addressed during the site review of the project. Utilities, there are multiple water and sewer lines in the area that are available for their use. They would need to make sure that when they are laying out the lots, that they accommodate for AUD requirements on water and sewer service and main locations. They also need to be aware that there are no phasing of this project, that they would need to only submit what they want to build and to install it on the plan, showing the overall detail or site layout would be okay. But what is shown on the plans would need to be built and accepted before a CO or release of the project occurs, and that concludes staff's presentation.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Is the petitioner present? So if you come forth and give us your name, address, any details on your request.
Good afternoon. My name is Burton Fine with Cranston Engineering, representing Anesta Real Estate Group, 452 Ellis Street, Augusta, Georgia. As staff has mentioned, this project came before you all in 2023 and was rezoned to the PUD district. Since then, this current applicant is part of a developer group who has now purchased the property and is looking to modify the previously approved PUD to accommodate a more intense commercial development along with a more dense residential development. We submitted the general development plan, which you see in front of you, which is a bubble plan that shows the proposed land use and how it transitions across the property. The reason for this is to establish a development code that the project can adhere to, while giving the developer some flexibility as they work to market this to potential investors. The GDP shows 3 area allocations, which is what is in front of you. The area in red is Pod A and is your heavier mixed-use area. The intent here is to provide a very large mixed-use building with commercial retail on the ground floor and multifamily on the upper floors. There's also some potential for several smaller commercial buildings in this pod as well. Just north of Steiner, you transition up into Pod B, which is a lighter mixed-use area. The intent here is to have some commercial uses fronting Steiner, and as you move back into the property, you transition into some townhomes and lighter multifamily uses before you transition into your full single-family neighborhood, which is shown as Pod C in blue. Pod C, as I mentioned, is all single-family detached. There's also, it also allows for some very restrictive neighborhood commercial uses, such as a cafe or some office space or event space as well. The black lines on this drawing show how the property is intended, how the proposed right-of-ways will run and subdivide the property, which creates various blocks which these uses will take place on. I know this is a very complex request. I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioners, you have questions of the petitioner? Yeah. Commissioner Clark.
I don't have any questions. I don't have.
Would you develop these independent of each other, or are they all?
So we have talked through some of the phasing of this development. It's intended to be built out in 3 phases, followed by several smaller. So the first phase would be installing the U-shaped road you see in the blue area and the single-family lots to get some rooftops, some newer rooftops in the area that would then be able to support some of the commercial uses. Followed by what you see in green, they would extend those public right-of-ways through the development, which would create the various blocks and set those blocks up to be either sold and developed or developed in sub-phases, if you will. And then the last phase that would occur is what you see in red, and the reasoning there is, staff mentioned there is some contamination of the soil on this site from the previous use as a cotton mill. We were involved with the previous application, and a phase 2 study was completed for that developer. The current applicant is getting a phase 2 done as we speak. That contamination was previously found mostly along the railroad. So they would have to generate some revenue, and treating that kind of contamination takes time, often takes some time. So they would get that started immediately as they develop the opposite end of the property. And
Mr. Chairman.
Any additional questions? Commissioner McKnight.
I have a couple. The first one is I'd like to know how the density changed from the first PUD to this one. And then the second one would be, these renderings look great. Is that the intent of the look, or is that subject to change?
the reason for the plan you see in front of you is to allow things to change a little bit. That rendering has changed since we previously submitted, but it looks very similar. It is the intent to hold a similar development as that rendering, but funding is the biggest part of this project. It's obviously not going to be cheap. So they've looked at some items like dialing back the structured parking and the large multifamily building to allow for surface parking. We've also looked at eliminating Garrett Lane, which is the one-way alley at the low part of the development on this plan. So it is subject to change, but we wanted to provide this general development plan to establish a code to adhere to.
So I was looking at, and just for clarification, the single-family detached housing looks great. And then the main concern I have was these townhomes that y'all have. Is this, maybe you can't see, sheet 41, does that resemble how you're thinking the townhomes are gonna look?
Everything that you see in front of you is a good representation of how it will look. I don't want to speak for the applicant and say that's exactly what they'll do. Everything that you have in front of you is conceptual, but it is their intent to provide something similar.
Any additional questions from commissioners? All right, Director Delaney.
On the density aspect that Commissioner Locke asked about, it's on page 24. The overall density of the site plan was not to exceed 10.5 units in the original, well, I won't say the original, in the PUD rezoning. In addition to that, it included 233 units total. In this current application, we're looking at about 218 units that were going to be in Pod A, and then you're looking at another 98 units in Pod B. So there is a change in the density, of course. So I just wanted to make that clear. But the other thing that's important to say here too is that, this is not a PUD adjustment. This is a completely new rezoning. So you're going to dump the old PUD, and this will be your new framework which you will work within. So I think, if you're wondering if they fail to cover it here, does it default back to the old PUD? It does not. So this is a separate, this should have been labeled rezoning, just to be clear. So, but yeah, so the density definitely increased, but so did the type of use. They expanded the use on the property. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Were there any concerns about flooding in this area in general?
Now, one of the things that, if you're from Augusta or you know Augusta, you know this area has some water table and some challenges there. Does it come up as a wetland or flood? No. So they are going to be, Cranston is well versed in this area. If they are the civil design engineers for this project, they will design engineer to account for that.
To add to that question, that issue came up in the previous rezoning, and we had some conversations with the city engineering department about the stormwater infrastructure in this area. It is part of their restoration plan, and there's currently some design elements in place that are currently in place that we will coordinate with and design with their consultant.
Okay. Anybody in the audience oppose this project? No? Anybody support? All right, okay, we'll move to the staff recommendations. Oh, I'm sorry, you have two? Okay. You have two supporters. Gentlemen, would you like to speak on your support at all? No? Okay, all right. Okay, moving to staff recommendations.
Okay, as always with plan developments, there's a laundry list of recommendations. So you can take a break or you can, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be like me reading a book here. Okay, so the planning and development staff is recommending approval of the zoning request with the following conditions. Number one, permitted uses of the site shall be limited to single-family attached and detached housing, multifamily apartments, and commercial uses. Liquor stores, self-storage facilities, convenience stores, recreational vehicle parks, pawn shops, and automobile service shops will not be permitted uses. Number two, the total height of proposed buildings and parking garages shall not exceed 72 feet or 6 stories in Pod A, 48 feet or 4 stories in Pod B, and 35 feet or 3 stories in Pod C. The height and location of each building must substantially conform to the conceptual site plan submitted with this application. Number three, the density requirements of the site are as follows. Pod A shall have a maximum residential density of 36 units or 218 units and a commercial intensity of 7,500 square feet. Pod B has a max density of 12 units or 98 units per acre. And a commercial intensity of 4,500 square feet. I can read, I promise. C, Pod C shall have a max density of 6 units or 60 units and a commercial intensity of 1,000 square feet. Number 4, parking shall be provided at the unit rates defined below. Single-family detached residential will have 2 spaces per unit. Multifamily apartments will have 1.5 spaces per unit. Attached townhomes shall have 2 spaces per unit, plus a quarter space per unit for guests. And then all commercial spaces shall have 1 parking space per 350 square feet of gross area. Number 5, the following building separation setbacks shall apply. For single-story buildings, it shall be 10 feet from the nearest structure. For 2- and 3-story buildings, it shall be 15 feet from the nearest structure. For 4-story buildings, there should be 20 feet from the nearest structure. For 5-story buildings, there shall be 30 feet from the nearest structure. And then building setbacks for the development shall be as follows. Pod A, MLK Junior Boulevard, 30-foot front setback. Existing railroad, 15-foot setback. Steiner Avenue, 5-foot front setback. Pod A to existing residential, 15-foot setback. Interior property lines to all uses, 0-foot setback. Now, Pod B is townhome. It has a 5-foot perimeter setback. The apartments have a 5-foot perimeter setback, and the commercial has a 5-foot perimeter setback. And then the single-family detached within Pod B will have a 5 or a 15-foot front setback, and then a 5-foot side setback and a 15-foot rear setback. Pod C will be single-family detached with a 5 or 15-foot front setback, and then a 5-foot side setback and a 15-foot rear setback. The amenity and commercial use spaces shall have a 10-foot perimeter setback. That brings me to number 6, and just for reference, we have 20 conditions. So, number 6, the development must adhere to the following buffer and street yard requirements. MLK Junior Boulevard shall have a 10-foot street yard. Steiner Avenue shall have no buffer. Garrett Lane, no buffer. Clay Street, no buffer. Clay Street Pod B shall be 10 feet street yard. Clay Street Pod C shall have a 10-foot street yard. Anderson Avenue shall have a 10-foot street yard. Existing residential shall have a 10-foot landscape buffer. Existing railroad shall have a 10-foot landscape buffer. And the commercial to residential shall have a 10-foot landscape buffer. Number 7, a minimum of 15% of the overall site plan shall be dedicated to public open space. Number 8, the maximum lot coverage for the single-family lot shall be 40%. Number 9, a fence or screen wall is required in the front yard. Go back to the beginning, sorry. A fence or screen wall in the required front yard shall not exceed 4 feet in height and no more than 6 feet in any side or rear yards. Number 10, outdoor storage in the area comprised of attached and detached residential units shall reflect Section 8-1 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. Any outdoor storage on the mixed-use site shall be limited to enclosed buildings or screening with a 6-foot wood privacy fence and/or masonry wall. Number 11, no signage is permitted in the area comprised of the residential attached and detached units. No freestanding signs will be permitted anywhere on the site. The building or wall mounted signs are limited to a maximum surface area of 2 square feet per linear foot. Projecting signs may not project more than 5 feet from the building wall it is attached to, except for a canopy or awning mounted sign. Window signs may not occupy more than 20% of the area of any window. Number 12, they must install/improve existing sidewalks on all new and existing streets adjacent to the site to meet the latest adopted ADA standards. Number 13, new curb cuts must be permitted and comply with the standards of Augusta Traffic Engineering Department. Number 14 is omitted. We're renumbering, so that will be 15 now. So 14 will be, the new 14 is lighting in the parking lot must be directed away from nearby residences. Number 15 is the final building elevations and materials of the proposed structures are subject to design review. Number 16 is minor changes to the approved, in this case, MUD, site plan may be handled administratively by the planning director. Number 17, any changes deemed major will trigger the need to amend the original MUD site plan and require Augusta Commission approval. Number 18, building elevations must reflect those presented in this application. And then condition number 19, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, as amended at the time of development. And that concludes staff's recommendations.
Do you accept staff recommendations?
I do. I would like to ask for consideration of an adjustment to item number 8. The maximum lot coverage for single-family lots shall be 40%. We'd like to ask if the commission would be open to increasing that to 45% to allow for a certain product size on those lots.
And the planning and development staff, well, I'll say, when I read it, I thought that was a little bit much. I thought that given the density of this overall project and the urban feel, that it would be appropriate to have about a 50% lot coverage allowance for something like this.
All right, so commissioners, so you amending that recommendation, Director Delaney?
Yes, sir. I'm
From 40
amending
to
number 8
45.
to a 50% lot coverage.
Okay. All right, we have heard the staff recommendations with the amended condition. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with conditions.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded to approve with the conditions.
Get my name on something.
All right, so we're going to take a roll call vote. That was a motion to approve Z2514 with all 19 recommendations. Okay, Mr. O'Neill, Commissioner O'Neill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Prince?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Laracy?
Yes.
Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks?
Yes.
And Commissioner Owens? Yes. All right, so Z 2514 has been approved.
All right.
All righty then. That brings us to, bless you, case number 4, which is a special exception, and it is a petition by Kenneth Rayburn requesting a special exception per section 26-1 of the comprehensive zoning ordinance to establish a paintball recreational facility affecting property containing approximately 28.1 acres located at 5250 Mike Paget Highway. It's case number SE 25-05. Staff will give more details.
Good afternoon, Brian Kepner, zoning administrator. As stated, this is a special exception request for 5250 Mike Paget Highway. It's a 28-acre parcel and is currently zoned agriculture. The purpose of the special exception application is to establish a recreational area, which will include paintball field and the sport of paintball. The parcel is currently vacant and remains undeveloped. Recreational areas are not a permitted use in the agricultural zoning, but may be granted with approval of a special exception. Georgia Department of Transportation Functional Classification Map 2017 classifies this section of Mike Paget Highway as a major arterial road. Transit routes are not available in the immediate area. Adjacent zoning districts surrounding property include agriculture to the north, south, and east, and a mixture of B1 and B2 zone properties immediately to the west. Section 26(1)(I) of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance allows for recreational facilities to be permitted by special exception in agricultural zones if they generally conform to the following criteria. The minimum size tract of recreational area shall be 50 acres for golf courses and country clubs. This request does comply with this because it's not one of those uses and is 28 acres. A tract upon which a recreational area is to be established shall have at least 100 feet of frontage on a collector street or on an arterial street, and to be at least 1 acre in size. This request complies with that. Structures shall be sent back at least 50 feet from any property line, separating subject property from residentially zoned or developed properties. This application complies with that as well. The applicant does not intend to construct any permanent structures. Limited changes are planned for the site. Tents will be used, but activities will largely occur out on the open field. Next criteria is lighting shall be designed so that adjacent properties are not adversely affected. This application complies with that. The applicant states paintball will be only played during daylight hours, and there will be no need for outdoor lighting. Outdoor activities shall cease at 11 p.m. This application complies with that, as they're limiting their hours from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Recreational areas and similar facilities shall be located at least 100 feet from continuous properties zoned or developed for residential use. This application complies with that. Based on the details of the site plan, a minimum of 100-foot buffer is provided along all sides of the property. The last criteria, a plan illustrating compliance with the above requirements shall be submitted to the Planning and Development, and this application complies with that. Detailed plate plan was submitted to Planning and Develop, and all the above requirements have been met. However, due to the nature of the area and lack of recreational utilities in the South Augusta Richmond area, staff has determined that the proposed recreation area is compatible with the surrounding area. Nearly half the property is located within flood zone AE, which has a 1% annual chance of flooding, and a floodable zone X, which has a 0.2% annual chance of flooding. There are roughly 1/3 of the property is located within wetlands, extending from McBean Creek. This request is consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan, and at the time of completion of this report, staff has not received any inquiries regarding the application, and that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? All right, if you can come up and give us your name, address, any new details on your request.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Rayburn. I live at 101 Arrowhead Court, Circle, excuse me, Hepzibah, Georgia. What else do I need to know?
And I'll take over. My name is Valerie Spratlin. I'm at 1241A Griner Circle, Hepzibah, Georgia. And we'd like to tell y'all what we'd like to do with this property. It's a 28-acre total area, but the recreational part of it that Ken wants to develop into the paintball is only 9 acres. And that 9 acres is the closest to the railroad away from the wetlands. So it goes, there's a 175-foot from the from Matt Bean Creek to the closest part of the recreational, which is far enough away from the wetlands area. Also, the paintballs that he uses is non-toxic, biodegradable, and is actually edible. If you'd like to eat them, they actually have a paintball eating contest sometimes. So the outside shell is like the capsule that you take medicine, it will biodegrade. And the paint is non-toxic and biodegradable. So that even if it made it to McBean Creek, it would not affect environmentally anything there. But because of the distance between the playing field and McBean Creek or any of the wetlands, it wouldn't make it over there. The velocity of the guns is not to where any paintballs could shoot that far through the woods, because there's also a buffer, a wooded buffer there, and some berms between the playing fields areas there and McBean Creek. So the paintballs would never make it to the McBean Creek anyway. Also, the whole fields, every field, individual fields, will be netted with at least 12 feet of netting. So there's like telephone poles and netting in between. So each individual playing field will be netted. Also, the parking area and where like the staging area will be fenced, netted. So no one, once you come on property, you're almost like herded into a netted or fenced area to where people can't wander out of the playing area, because that is a densely wooded area behind us, and we wouldn't want anybody to get lost, to kind of wander off. So they're not going to be able to, because once you pull in, everything is then becomes, you come into the netted area. The buildings on the property, we have one building that's a pole barn that is not permanent. It's not on any concrete slab. It's only like spiked, which can be pulled up. So even that one building that's on property now is not permanent. It is just temporary. So anything else is going to be either tent or just an outside area, picnic tables for our staging area, and then play will just be the open fields on there. Ken Rayburn has been in the paintball business or the playing for 43 years. He has 43 years of experience in the paintball world. He doesn't look that old, but he has been playing for 43 years. He's been members of teams that has played in the World Cup. He has represented the CSRA at World Cup Paintball. Paintball has World Cup down in Florida. His team in 2001 came in second in World Cup. So he has represented CSRA very well in the paintball world. The property actually was home to recreational softball and baseball fields back in the 70s. So that area has already been recreational areas in the McBean area. The McBean area is underserved with recreational activities for those residents, but it also will draw from all of Augusta, and actually since we're on the Burke County line, people from Burke County will come over as well, can come play. The paintball genre has grown to a multi-billion-dollar business, and even though this will be a small venture, because he wants to retire and not do anything major, it will have an economic impact for that area, because there's some Dollar General and Family Dollar and some businesses there that will be impacted by his venture. However, it will have no negative impact on the neighborhood, no loud music, no cars going in and out, no yelling, no screaming. Paintball is only played from sun up to sundown, so there will be no issue of people hanging out after dark, anything like that. So if you have any other technical questions or any other questions, Ken's your guy.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, you have questions of the petitioner? Seeing none. Anybody oppose this project? Support? All right, you have one back there. Sir, would you like to speak on your support? All right. Moving into the staff recommendations.
All righty. The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of this application with the following conditions. Number one, that they must comply with related aspects of the Augusta Tree Ordinance. Number two, that a minimum 100-foot undisturbed buffer shall be maintained on all sides of the property. Number three, only the shooting of paintball guns is permitted on the property. Number four, all patrons of the recreational area playing paintball must wear protective gear. Number five, any proposed lighting fixtures must be directed downward and not towards residential buildings. Number six, the hours of operation shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Number seven, the approval of this special exception request does not constitute approval of the submitted conceptual site plan submitted with the application. Approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia is required prior to the construction commencing on the property. Number eight, development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County at the time of development. Number nine, there shall be a fence along the side property line adjacent to the railroad. And number 10, paint and paintball supplies materials cannot be cleaned or discharged in the land nor in any of the waterways adjacent or on the property. They must complete an initial environmental impact review through our Code Enforcement Division. And that concludes staff's recommendations.
All right, do you accept the recommendations from staff?
Yes, sir. I'll do whatever I can to make this happen.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Properly moved and seconded to approve this petition.
All right, so there was a motion to approve special exception 2508 with staff recommendation by Cooks and Clark. All in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Thank you.
Thank y'all for your consideration. Thank you.
All righty, next item on the agenda, page 70, special exception 25-06 is a petition by Sharon Kumar Rual on behalf of On Track Now, our new LLC, requesting a special exception per section 21-2C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to establish a liquor store affecting property containing approximately 2.03 acres located at 4505 Windsor Spring Road. It is on page 70. It is Zone B1. Staff will present more details.
Amanda Cruz, Planner 1. This special exception involves a 2.03 acre tract situated in the B1 zone at the corner of Windsor Spring Road and Willis Foreman Road. Currently, the site is under construction with the development of a new convenience store with a gas canopy. The request for a special exception is to establish a liquor store adjacent to the convenience store under the current zoning. The subject property is located within the South Richmond character area. Additional suburban residential and commercial development will be located in areas designated for such uses. Public facilities and services will be expanded as necessary to accommodate growth in the population. Liquor stores are not allowed by right in the B1 zone, but may be granted with the approval of a special exception. There is a previous zoning history on the property. A petition granted by the Augusta Commission on January 17th, 2023 from R1, one family residential, and B1 neighborhood business to B1 with a special exception and conditions to establish a convenience store. The conditions from that approval are as follows. The two redrawn parcels along with the presented ingress-egress easement on the conceptual sketch shall be recorded with the Clerk of Superior Court prior to the submittal for site plan approval. The development shall comply with all conditions pertaining to convenience stores in B1 zones as outlined in the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance Section 21-2B. The applicant shall acknowledge that per Section 21-8 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, the granted special exception shall expire if the convenience store is not initiated within 6 months of approval by the Augusta Commission. Approval of the B1 rezoning and special exception recommended as an alternative to the rezoning request does not constitute approval of the conceptual sketch submitted with the rezoning application. Site plan approval in compliance with the site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia is required prior to the commencement of construction on the property. And development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations as set forth by the Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, as amended, including the Augusta Tree Ordinance as amended at the time of development. Per section 21-2C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, liquor stores are permitted by special exception in a B1 neighborhood business zone if they generally conform to the following criteria. The nature of the surrounding area is not predominantly residential with only a few commercial uses interspersed. They are compliant with this provision where the intersection of Windsor Spring Road and Willis Foreman Road is primarily commercial in nature. The property is at the intersection of two arterial streets or within 500 feet of such an intersection. This is non-compliant with this provision where the site is positioned at a key intersection. However, Willis Foreman is identified per GDOT as a major collector street. And lastly, the property is not within 1,000 feet of a public park or recreation area, school, or library. They are non-compliant with this provision, where the closest school is Willis Foreman Elementary School, located approximately 663 feet away. Adjacent zoning in the area, to the west is B1 Neighborhood Business and R1, one family residential. In the north is B1 Neighborhood Business and R1, one family residential. In the east is B1 and R1E. And in the south is LI Light Industry and R1, one family residential. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate maps firm, the property is not located within a special flood hazard area. And according to Augusta Richmond County GIS map layer, there are no wetlands located on the property. Public water is present, but sewer is not. Public transportation is not available near the parcel. According to the Georgia Department of Transportation State Functional Classification Map, Windsor Road is classified as a minor arterial street, and Willis Foreman Road is classified as a major collector route. The special exception is not consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan. At the time of completion of the report, staff has not received any inquiries regarding the petition as advertised. And we did receive comments from utilities stating that water is available for them on Windsor Spring and Willis Foreman. However, no county sewer is available at this time. That concludes staff presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself on this case.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Sir, if you could give us your name, address, any details on your request.
I'm Jeb Bogus. I'm the builder on this site, and I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Rao. My address is 4782 McCombs Road. And one thing I wanted to point out was that that school, from door to door, it's about 1,600 feet from the school, not 600 feet as the crow flies. I'm not sure how that's... Okay, so, and I've actually got a survey showing that, but that school is actually closed. So I'm not sure the intent of that rule was to protect a building or was to protect the children. But that school has been closed by Richmond County, and I don't know if it's even slated to reopen. Do you guys know anything of that?
We'll have to defer to staff for that.
So on this matter, in particular, this application, the Planning and Development is going to recommend a continuance or postponement so that we can follow up and get in writing the intention of the Richmond County Board of Education with regards to the school.
All right, is there a motion? Move to continue. It's been properly moving second to.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the continuance. Okay. All right.
All right, so we have a motion to postpone special exception 2506 by Cooks and Clark. All in favor of the postponement, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. No. Midnight. All right, it will be postponed for 30 days.
Thank
okay?
you. I know Ms. Delaney's happy with that. You don't have to read anything else.
All right, the next item on our agenda, excuse me, is item number 6. It's a special exception, similar to the last one. A petition by N.K. Patel LLC requesting special exception per section 21-2C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to establish a liquor store affecting property containing approximately .52 acres located at 2059 Central Avenue. It is Zone B1. It's on page 78 in your packet, and staff will give more details.
Amanda Cruz, Planner 1. This special exception involves a 0.52 acre tract situated in the B1 zone at the corner of Central Avenue and Hurd Avenue. Currently, the site contains an existing convenience store and small canopy containing 3 gas pumps. The request for special exception is to establish a liquor store next to an already established convenience store under the current zoning. The subject property is located within the Old Augusta character area. Redevelopment is occurring in the many of the well-established neighborhoods of the Old Augusta character area. Liquor stores are not allowed by right in the B1 zone, but may be granted with the approval of a special exception. There is a prior zoning, or there are prior zoning actions associated with this property. There's a special exception from 2022 that approved the convenience store to be established with conditions. Those conditions are as follows. All applicable regulations set forth in section 21-2B of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Augusta, Georgia must be met. The development must satisfy the required off-street parking standards. No liquor store shall be allowed on the property. In the event the new business wants to sell or serve liquor, a special exception for that express purpose shall be required. New construction and exterior improvements of the existing building must receive approval from the Historic Preservation Commission. On May 22nd, 2024, the Augusta, Georgia Commission considered a similar petition at this location where the applicant petitioned for a special exception to establish a liquor store. The Augusta Commission denied the special exception request. Section 21-2C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance states that liquor stores are permitted by special exception in a B1 neighborhood business zone if they generally conform to the following criteria. The nature of the surrounding area is not predominantly residential. They are non-compliant with this provision where north of the property located along Hurd Avenue and Hurd Lane is predominantly residential in nature and located in the R1C one family residential zone. The property is located at the intersection of 2 arterial streets or within 500 feet of such an intersection. Non-compliant with this provision where Central Avenue is considered a minor arterial street, but Hurd Avenue is considered a local street. The nearest arterial intersection is Central Avenue and Trope Street, which is approximately 1,332 feet away. The property is not within 1,000 feet of a public park or recreation area, school, or library. They are compliant with this provision. But the closest school is Monte Sano Elementary, and it is approximately 1,795 feet away. The closest public park is Hickman Park, and it is approximately 1,373 feet away. And lastly, the closest public library is Augusta University's Reese Library, and it is approximately 4,556 feet away. Adjacent zoning to the west is B1 neighborhood business. To the north, as mentioned, was R1C, one family residential. To the east is B1 neighborhood business, and to the south is B1 neighborhood business. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate maps firm, the property is not located within a special flood hazard area. According to the Augusta-Richmond County GIS map layer, there are no wetlands located on the property. Public water and sewer are present at the site. Public transit is not located along the section of Central Avenue, and the nearest route services are on Wrightsboro, which are approximately 974 feet away from the property. According to the Georgia Department of Transportation State Functional Classification Map, the adjacent road Central Avenue, as stated, is a minor arterial route. The special exception is not consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan. The property is situated in the Somerville Historic District, and any new construction or exterior improvements are subject to historic preservation review and approval. At the time of completion of this report, staff have received many inquiries regarding this petition, and we've received letters of opposition, 3 to be exact. We also received comments from utilities stating that both water and sewer are available on Central and Hurd for their use. That concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? All right, sir, if you come forward and give us your name, address, and details on your request.
My name is Prayas Kumar Patel, 1222 Ursula Point, Augusta, Georgia 30907.
Is there any new information that you want to provide to the commissioners?
Yes, I hear we have it.
All right, is that a petition?
No.
Oh, okay, is that something you want us to see?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get staff to try to circulate it around or.
How many signatures were on it?
Commissioners, while that is going.
Maybe about 83.
Okay.
83.
About 83. All right. Commissioners, do you have any questions while that's being passed around? Commissioner O'Neill.
What is being passed around?
I believe it's a petition for signatures that you gathered to support your request.
Support the customer, yes.
Okay. Commissioner O'Neill.
Is that from the neighborhood itself?
Yes, neighborhood. Welcome.
If I may just help him out a little bit, my name is Randy Frails. I'm a local attorney. I live in Columbia County at 2551 Willow Creek Court, Evans, Georgia. The list that he provided, a lot of those names and addresses are in the local area of this location at the corner of Central Avenue and Hurd. There are actually 4 businesses there at HUD, at that particular location, that corner, his store. There's an office building to the south of him. There's another convenience store to the southwest of him, and then there's a doctor's office to the southwest. Additionally, even though it may not be at a arterial artery, there are lots of businesses there that have liquor license in the area. There's restaurants there that have liquor license. There's Beck's. There is the old fire station. They have a liquor license. So the surrounding area, even though to the north of him is predominantly residential, to the south and to the east of him, there are a lot of other businesses that operate in that area that serve alcohol. There's not a liquor store that's near him at his location, and we think that it's a proper location for a liquor store to locate.
All right, is there anybody in the audience that opposes this project? Seeing none, additional support? All right. Okay. Gentlemen, would you like to express your support at the microphone? No, okay, all right. All right, staff recommendations.
The Planning and Development staff is recommending denial of the special exception request as it is not in compliance with Section 21-2C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance because the nature of the surrounding area is predominantly residential and the parcel is not located at the intersection of 2 arterial streets or within 500 feet of such an intersection. That concludes staff's recommendation.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
All right, so that was Cooks and McKnight to deny special exception 2507.
Correction.
They said
I
move
didn't
to
hear.
approve.
I was gonna say just for
My apologies. Oh, my
clarification.
apologies.
To,
So yes, it
move
was
to
denied. So it's motion to deny. Okay, cool. So we'll do a roll call vote for special exception 2507. That was a motion to deny. Commissioner Cooks, how we voting? Yes. Commissioner Owens? Yes. Commissioner Clark? Yes. Commissioner Larsey? Yes. Commissioner Davis?
Abstain.
Okay. Commissioner Prince?
Abstain.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
And Commissioner McKnight?
Yes.
All right, so special exception 2507 has been denied.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, home stretch. All right. We're on item number 7 in the agenda packet. Is case Z-25-19. It's a petition by Kenneth E. Washington requesting a rezoning from Zone R1C, one-family residential, to Zone R2, two-family residential, to construct a duplex affecting properties containing approximately .18 acres located at 1424 Brown Street. It's on page 87 in your packet, and staff will give more details.
Brian Kepner again. As stated, this is a 0.18 acre property located at 1424 Brown Street. The request is to go from R1C, one-family residential, to R2, two-family residential. According to the tax assessor's office, there is a 941 square foot single-family residence on the property built in 1926. It is in a dilapidated state, and the applicant proposes to demolish the house to construct a new 1,680 square foot story duplex. The property meets the requirements for the minimum lot width of 50 feet, as the property is 50 feet wide. The property meets the minimum square footage area requirement of 5,000 square feet, as the total of the property is 7,841. The conceptual site plan submitted with the application for the proposed duplex shows that the proposed location of the structure would meet the setback requirements for R2 zoning. The conceptual site plan submitted with the application for the proposed duplex shows that entrances to the duplex will be facing west, looking onto the adjacent vacant lot and not facing Brown Street. R2 zoning requires 2.25 to 2.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit for a minimum of 5 parking spaces. The conceptual site plan submitted with the application shows 4 parking spaces. I believe there is enough width on the property to allow for the 1 additional required parking space. Should the developer not add a 5th parking space, then approval of a parking variance is required. There is an existing sidewalk along the front of the property and an existing driveway access on the western side of the property on Brown Street. The property has access to public potable water and sanitary sewer. According to the FEMA flood insurance rate maps, the property is not located within a special flood hazard area. According to the Augusta-Richmond County GIS map layers, there are no wetlands located on the property. Public transit is available to the south on Wrightsboro Road, approximately 500 feet walking distance from the property. According to the Georgia Department of Transportation State Functional Classification Map 2017, Brown Street is classified as a local road. All surrounding properties on the block are zoned R1C, one family, residential, consisting of single-family homes ranging in size from approximately 0.06 acre to 0.16 acre, approximately 215 feet to the south. Along the south right-of-way line of Wrightsboro Road, properties are currently zoned R2. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the 2023 comprehensive plan, and at the time of the completion of this report, staff has not received any inquiries regarding the petition as advertised, and that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Okay, sir, ma'am, if you come up and give us your name, address, and any new details about your request.
My name is Dorothy Washington, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, 397 Tunstad Cove.
My name is Kenneth Washington.
Yes, ma'am. You can give it to our staff. Kevin, could you
Back
perhaps
here.
circulate that
Dorothy.
around?
My name is Kenneth Washington. My address is 397 Tunstad Cove. We're from Cordova, Tennessee. We own property here in Richmond County. We own 1308 Cherry. That property has been renovated. We own 1421 and a half PK, PICQUET. That property has been renovated and is currently occupied by a tenant. We also own 1105 9th. That property has been renovated and is currently occupied. We also own 1413 Wrightsboro Road. That property was renovated and sold. in February of last year. We just would like to have a new construction of a duplex on this property located at 1424 Brown. And as mentioned earlier, it's currently occupied by a dilapidated, unoccupied, single-family residence, and we are going to propose to put a duplex on this property. So we're asking for a zoning change from R1C to R2.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Oh, seeing none. Anybody oppose this project?
I've got one.
I'm sorry, okay. Commissioner McKnight.
I was just curious about the fifth parking space. Have y'all looked to make sure that was feasible for this project?
The frontage on this property is actually 50 feet, and there is, I think, a 9-foot width required on each one, so that would allow for a fifth parking spot at 9 feet each. That's only 45 feet.
All right. Anybody in the audience oppose this request? Support? Anyone support? All right. Moving into our staff recommendations.
The Planning and Development staff is recommending approval of the proposed application with the following conditions. Number one, should the applicant not provide the required 5 parking spaces, then he shall obtain approval of a parking variance prior to submittal for a building permit. Number two, approval of this rezoning request does not constitute approval with the conceptual site plan submitted with the rezoning application. The proposed development shall obtain site plan approval in compliance with site plan regulations of Augusta, Georgia, prior to construction commencing on the property. And then number three, the development of the property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, as amended at the time of development. And this concludes staff's recommendation.
Do you accept the staff recommendations?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Chairman will entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been properly moving second to approve petition Z2919.
Okay. It was Cooks. It was Cooks.
Yes.
All right, so that's a motion to approve Z2519 with staff recommendations. All in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Thank you. You guys have been approved. And you'll meet back, come back on May the 20th now for the Augusta Commission. They'll give you your final approval.
All right, this brings us to our last case of the day. Z-25-20 is a petition by Christopher Palmer requesting to amend R1A zoning conditions from zoning case Z-04-66 to construct a single-family residence affecting properties containing approximately 30.88 acres located at 3987 and 3991 Duncan Drive. All right, staff will present.
Kevin Boyd, Development Services Manager. Sorry. This rezoning request consists of 2 adjacent residential tracts with a combined area of 30.88 acres. Both properties are situated on Duncan Drive and measure approximately 1,159 feet northeast of Brown Road. The petitioner requests to remove all existing conditions of the properties to continue construction of a single-family residence and detached accessory building or structure on the subject property. Duncan Drive is an unimproved roadway that extends from Brown Road. The road measures approximately 3,270 feet and has a right-of-way width of 50 feet. One of the disturbed factors is whether disputed, that's what it should have been. Factors is that whether or not Duncan Drive is considered public or private road. This property is situated in the South Richmond character area. In terms of the findings, The property owner is currently constructing a single-family residence and detached accessory structure at the address located at 3991 Duncan Drive. Both addresses for the subject properties have been amended. Previously, they had a Brown Road address, and so the applicant at some point coordinated with the GIS IT department to change the address from a Brown Road address to a Duncan Drive address. The other parcel, 3987 Duncan Drive, is vacant at this time, but the applicant has mentioned there's a plan to develop that property for, I believe, his father, and he could provide additional insight once he's able to speak. On Tuesday, August 17, 2004, the Augusta Commission approved zoning KZ-0466, a change in zoning from R1 one-family residential to R1A one-family residential with the following conditions. And these are the three conditions that the applicant is seeking to remove under the current R1A zoning. Number one, that no access to Duncan Drive by this proposed development. It refers to the nearby The Orchard subdivision. And that was the impetus of the rezoning request, is to allow for the additional, the flexibility with the smaller lot sizes under the R1A zone. And so these three conditions run with the land as well as the development, the Orchard development nearby. Number two is that no access easements to be placed on all lots touching Duncan Drive. And three, only the portion of only the property east of Duncan Drive, as shown on the plat submitted, is rezoned to R1A, which this property happens to be part of that overall rezoning request. The site can be served by both public water and sewer systems if the lines are extended. Georgia Department of Transportation GDOT Function Classification Map 2017 identifies Duncan Drive as a local residential road. It doesn't really make inferences of whether or not it's public or private. It just identifies it as a local residential in terms of its capacity. It remains unclear if the right-of-way of Duncan Drive was ever formally dedicated as a public street. If it is private, there is no documentation that a private road maintenance agreement was ever duly recorded with the clerk of the clerk of court of Richmond County. Approximately 11.03 acres, or 35% of the tract, is situated in a 100-year flood zone or special flood hazard area. A smaller percentage of land, approximately 5.25 acres or 17%, lies within the 0.2% annual chance flood hazard area or 500-year flood zone. Much of the northern portions of the properties have wetlands, and the conceptual site plan submitted with the application shows the location of a 3,172 square foot residence. The plan does not include placement of a detached accessory structure. Permits were issued for the construction of the primary residence and detached accessory building or structure on 2/4/2025 and 2/25 year 2025 respectively. At the time of completion of the staff report, staff has received several inquiries, and so there's a heated discussion between the property owner and the neighboring properties, and that concludes, well, we do have comments from utilities. There are no water and sewer available for this one residence, and that's given the assumption that they do not extend the lines. And that concludes staff's presentation.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Is the petitioner present? All right, sir, if you could come forward and give us your name, address, and any details on your request.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christopher Palmer. My address is 3991 Duncan Drive, Hepzibah, Georgia. Earlier this year, we purchased a land of 33 acres and some change. We requested for building permits for my house and my detached structures. My detached structure is complete, has already been finalized and final inspection. My house is 60% complete. We have over $500,000 invested up to this point. We are currently doing cabinets, so that's how far along we've came with our property. The zoning restrictions that was implied was for the neighborhood that was across the street for Orchard neighborhood. So when they were building that neighborhood, they didn't want access for that neighborhood to be used in Duncan Drive as their primary road. They wanted them to access Brown Road. My land back in 2004, when the zoning commission entered these zoning restrictions, my land was never sold to the Orchard. The chain of custody from my land goes from the Owens to Blackburn Investments directly to us, so it was never part of the zoning for the Orchard, but that was never taken into account. So the zoning restrictions got included with the property that I purchased. So I'm just asking for the zoning restrictions to be lifted. We're not trying to build tiny homes or anything. I'm trying to build my own personal residence, and then in the future, my father's residence. And that'd be the only two structures on the 33 acres. There is wetlands presence because we're bordered by Spirit Creek. That's the north side of my property. Everything we're building is out of the flood zone. We have all permits, all elevation certificates. And like I said, everything is a single structure home. We're just asking for access to Duncan Drive because it is the only way in and out to our property. If we had no access to Duncan Drive, there's no access to our property. There's no other access from Brown Road or through the orchard or through the farmer's land at the end of the neighborhood because he has no access either. He's been using the road for 40 years. It is the only access to my property, so we're asking for those restrictions to be lifted so we can continue our build of our house. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, you have questions of the petitioner? None. Okay, anybody in the audience oppose this request? Okay, in a similar way, anybody support this request? Okay, all right. Would the opposition like to present their reservations about this request? All right, sir, will you have a balance of 10 minutes if you just make certain that you address your comments directly to the Planning Commission?
Thank you. My name is Sam Adams. I'm an attorney at Fulcher Hagler here in Augusta, 110th Street, Suite 700. I represent Ron and Gail Fryer. If you would mind standing up, please. They own parcels at 2221 Brown Road, 4095 Duncan Drive, 4091 Duncan Drive, and 4083 Duncan Drive. These are all in essentially what I would call the lower portion of Duncan Drive, which is directly adjacent to Brown Road. I think it's important, commissioners, to know a little bit of the history of this area and to understand sort of why the dispute is currently in the situation that it is. The Fryers have lived that property has been in their family since approximately the mid-1960s. When Miss Fryer's family, her father purchased the property from Myrtle Cadle. His brother purchased additional portions of adjacent to Duncan Drive, basically going all the way up to the point where the petitioner's property is as well from Miss Cadle. So that property all came out of Miss Cadle or her estate. At that time, Duncan Drive was a little spit road off Brown Road that was essentially just used to access that property. It was known back then as Big Spirit Creek Road. Subsequently, it was renamed to Duncan Drive, obviously because the Duncan family owned all of that property after Spirit Creek Road elsewhere in Hepzibah was designated as that road. Ms. Cadle, again, owned the entire tract that has now been devised to various members of the Duncan family, and would have owned the entire tract that would have encompassed Big Spirit Creek Road, or what is now Duncan Drive. The adjacent property where we see up here on the plat, on what I would call Upper Duncan Drive, was all part of a large 129-acre tract that was owned by Joseph Olm. It really came out of Rebecca Olm, who then, her two sons got the property. Joseph Olm consolidated that property into the 129-acre tract, which was then subsequently developed, at least a portion of it, into the Orchard subdivision. That 129-acre tract had no need to access Duncan Drive because it had frontage on Brown Road. And so for a substantial part of the existence of the Duncan family and the Olms owning the property, there were fences or gates that went across Duncan Drive at the juncture of their two properties because they didn't need access to Duncan Drive. The current conditions, as the staff report discussed, came about in 2004 when parties associated with Mr. Olm came to seek rezoning from R1 to R1A to allow the development of the Orchard subdivision. And at that time, the Friars opposed that amendment because it had the prospect of taking what had been a sleepy family dirt road where the family would gather together in the middle of the road for fellowship into a 50-foot right-of-way bisecting the family property. And at that point, the commission adopted zoning ordinance 6717, which put these conditions in place at the time to ensure that there was no access from any of that 129-acre parcel, including the petitioner's parcel, to either have direct access to Duncan Drive or access easements to use Duncan Drive to access Brown Road. As I said, those conditions were memorialized in zoning ordinance 6717. Since then, this property was not ultimately included in the larger development of the Orchard. The property developers there have developed a portion down by Brown Road. There's still a parcel that is owned by the Orchard Development Company, which is right to the south there of Duncan Drive. And then they conveyed the portion that the Palmers own, as Mr. Palmer stated, to Blackburn Development, who held the property and subsequently redeveloped. So you have property that was subdivided out with no easement provided to either Blackburn Development that we know of or to Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer has subsequently subdivided, as you can see in the plat, the portion there on the far east, northeast of the property. And my understanding is, based on this petition, they would like to retain that R1A development, which allows for a larger density residential development. My clients oppose this petition for three reasons. First, as has been alluded to, the legal status of Duncan Drive as a public road is questionable at best. I've had multiple conversations with the county's attorney. My clients have had conversations with the staff, and as of yet, no one seems to be able to positively identify when or by what means Duncan Drive came to be determined as a public road for Richmond County. I would note it's a 30-foot unimproved right-of-way, so normally it wouldn't even meet the standards of inclusion in the county road system. From my understanding of conversations with the county attorney, the best guess is that a prior county attorney several decades ago would take the position that if the county ever improved or provided any service to your road, that was treated as an implied dedication of the property, and there seems to be some debate whether or not the county has provided grading or gravel or something else to this road at some point in the past. While I appreciate the intellectual simplicity of that argument for dealing with these types of situations, the Georgia Supreme Court has been fairly clear on what constitutes an implied dedication When there's a claim of an implied dedication, the facts relied upon must be such as to clearly indicate a purpose on the part of the owner to abandon his personal dominion over the property and to devote it to definite public use. And certainly, the Palmers have the Friars have maintained for decades that this is a private road. They have maintained it themselves, along with other family members who adjoin that road. So, as a threshold question, it seems that someone needs to determine, is this a public road or not? Because if this is not a public road, adding access and requiring access through this private road seems to amount to a taking, which seems like something that would be beyond the scope of this body to recommend or the commission to do without following other procedures. Secondly, this is a situation that's largely been forced on the Friars. As I previously alluded to, the tract in question, the 30 acres, came out of a larger 129-acre tract that was all from a common grantor. That property could have been provided with access through the existing remainder property in the orchard. There is a parcel, undeveloped parcel, that is owned by the city, 181-0-003-01-0, which is just to the east of 2440 Orchard Drive.
Excuse me, sir, you have a balance of 2 minutes.
Thank you. And there's the ability to create access to Orchard Drive, which would then give the Palmers access to Brown Road. Finally, this request goes beyond what would be required to actually provide what's being requested in the petition. If the commission was inclined to vote to recommend approval on this, there's no reason to remove completely all restrictions. At most, all that would need to be is the restrictions would need to be modified to allow a single-family home on those two parcels with no further subdivision necessary. Otherwise, this essentially turns into an end run around the 2004 zoning restriction and the reasons that that was in place. Thank you for your time, and again, on behalf of the Friars, we would urge the commission to recommend that the current request to remove these restrictions to these parcels be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so you have an opportunity to respond.
I'd like to give something to the commission.
We'll put it on the screen.
While she's adding that, the parcel of land he's talking about for the city is a retention pond, so you can't make a driveway through a retention pond. That's the part of the land that the city owns. Not only that, my parcel of land was separated from the 129-acre plot in 1994. It was already subdivided, had two separate plots. And we have people that live on the east side of me. It's been living there for 60 years or so. So there's never been a fence blocking them from their property who is on the east side of me. It is, and this is from 1994 from the Public Works Director stating that they maintain this road and they own from Brown Road all the way to the end of Duncan Drive, 3,200 feet. This was submitted to me from y'all's staff attorney, Ms. Pitts. I asked her, was this a legal document? And she said, yes, this is a department who would make the determination. And if this road is blocked off, which the Friars has been trying to do, put a gate up to block us and stop the build of our house, to call the police and have it removed because it cannot be blocked. I also have a copy of the email, which is here from Ms. Pitts, stating, this is what we have to establish that it belongs to the city. This is from the former engineering director. Call the sheriff again if you have any, if you call the sheriff again and show them this email, that the street cannot be blocked off and it has presumptive easements in several already established properties. Like I said, we're not trying to cause trouble, we're just trying to access Duncan Drive. It's a public road. We're building a house. We're $500,000 deep into this house. We're not building a neighborhood. We're just building two simple houses for me and my father.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, did you have something that you wanted to briefly add?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Very briefly, Judy Teasley, 4454 Harding, excuse me, that's my mother. Greystone Way, Evans. My parents bought that property at the end of Duncan Drive at 4060 Duncan Drive. In the 60s, my earliest recollection is 1962. I remember that because I was 12 years old. Don't calculate the age. And my daddy let me drive on it, okay? It was maintained by the Richmond County, at that point in time, roads crew. Mail has been delivered there on a daily basis. Since garbage collection has been provided, garbage has been picked up there. We've never been stopped. There's never been a gate. It's always been public access. My daddy operated a business at the end of Duncan Road without hindrance. I don't know where the notion that it's a private road came from. It's always been a public road to us. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. All right, yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Lawrence Quinn, 4581 Bedford Drive. I'm the former operations manager for the Augusta Engineering Department. The people that used to maintain the road used to be in my employ. I can vouch firsthand, we did maintain that road. Our understanding was always that this was a city-owned road. We did maintain it. The Faulkners, one of the Faulkners went behind my back, and I said this as plainly as I can, went to AED and told somebody that I was with them and wanted that the road be changed to private, and they did that inside the records of AED. That was a false statement. I was notified immediately after it was done by people that worked in AED that were my coworkers, and I did not realize that it had been done, but my name was used to get it done, and that's always bothered me. So I just want you to understand that. We own a business that currently operates at the end of this road. This is the only access for our business. We have a functioning farm, several heads of cattle, heavy equipment is known to be out there. We have 2 operative borrow pits. You can look from the sky, but you can't see them because I'm the old sort of environmental hand here at the city. It is important for me to present my borrow pits completely environmentally in compliance, so they are capped when they're not used. It's green space now, but I have the legal authority to break ground and sell dirt off that property at any time, which means I have heavy equipment going up and down that road. That's always been permitted. The state has permitted this. That is our form of income. Just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
I'm
right.
sorry. Good afternoon. Is there an opportunity to?
At the full commission, ma'am, the time for the opposition has expired. We're going to move into our staff recommendations.
The Planning and Development staff is recommending denial of the amendment requests affecting 3987 and 3991 Duncan Drive because at the time of writing of this report, there was not enough conclusive information that proved that Duncan Drive was a public right-of-way in the county maintenance system. Duncan Drive is an unimproved 30-foot right-of-way, but we don't recommend expanding use on a private road without a private road maintenance agreement. And so with that being said, Planning and Development, due to a lack of an established public right-of-way, indeed recommend denial.
Question.
Oh, okay, a couple of questions. Commissioner McKnight, then Commissioner O'Neill.
This is probably for the petitioner. Is my understanding that's the only access that you have to this 30 acres? Is
Yes,
this
sir,
road?
that is the only road, that is the only road in and out of that
It's
property.
been that way for 60 years or something?
Since, more than that. And not only that, I'm $500,000 deep. The county has issued permits for both, and I'm 60% complete on my house and 100% complete on my existing other structures.
So it's my understanding on the other side, the second question, your intention is to only build 2 houses.
Yeah,
And I think the worry is that your intention is to go in there and build a subdivision out there.
Yeah, we have wetlands and all, I bought the whole 33 acres. I'm not a rich man, I work at SRS, I don't have the money to make a development.
So is it okay to make a condition where you only agreed to put 2 houses on your 30 properties and let's go on down the road and leave the road open? Is that a solution for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, there's only gonna be 2 houses. You can. Keep the road open. I just want the road open because it's a public access. The county has maintained it. That is the only way in and out. We can't go to Smoky Road, which they suggested because.
You're agreeing to limit it to 2 residences on the 30 acres.
Okay. I mean, we still have people living, you know what I'm saying? There's other houses down there. You have access being restricted to other people who's been there 60, 70 years.
They're threatening to gate the road.
If you don't approve this,
How many residents are we talking about down the road?
Right here, I live on the property. I've lived there since 1982.
We all own it.
And there's another one that's living there that's not here today.
right. So if you block my
I don't
access.
want to get into the, I'm just trying to find a solution to
Right,
a
I mean,
problem.
that's the only access.
No, you're close. You're close. Back to his question. He's saying, will you, they're not in this particular petition with you. We're trying to deal with your petition.
Right, this is my fault. That's why I was asking. I mean,
Right. He's asking, will you
Yes,
agree
absolutely.
to only building 2 houses on that property?
2 houses. I agree to 100%. I mean, I can't afford to build anymore.
Okay, thank you. My second question is to the attorney who has spoken for the opposition. Were you aware of those documents from 1994?
I was. Those documents do not conclusively establish how the property came into the county's possession. A discussion with Mr. Plunkett, which it's a letter saying that this appears in our county records, but that doesn't explain how it got there. So in order for a road to move from a private road to a public road, there needs to be taking, or there needs to be a dedication by the property owners to the county. And so what you can see is there's additionally around the same time as that letter, there's a 1994 report that shows the property as a potential unimproved road in the county's inventory. It says that it's been a road for 10 years, but obviously my clients have owned the property since through family members since the 1960s. So that road has been there for far beyond that. And the mere fact that a letter exists, and again, Mr. Plunkett has acknowledged this, is that does not show how the property became public. And someone can write a letter and be completely wrong if they don't have the legal process is not involved to turn it from a private road into a public. That doesn't address, I know there's been a lot of talk about people who are at the far end of Duncan Drive. That is a separate question.
Yeah, I'm not dealing with that one, but let me ask you this. So for 30 years, that letter is 30 years old. The county, in its sovereignty, has expressed, unless that person who wrote that document did not have the authority to issue that document, but the county, a person able to make that call 30 years ago said, this is our road, and they have evidence that the county has been maintaining that road ever since that point. Did I hear that information correctly? Okay, so
Commissioner O'Neill, may I interject
Sure.
for a second? We kind of discussed this before, and I think it would be prudent for us not to try to determine whether or not it is public or private. I mean, I think it might be wise for us to allow the legal professionals to determine that by whatever measure they determine that type of thing. And so I just wanted to add that as we continue the conversation and commissioners vote their conscience.
So your legal representation, Ms. Pitts, the staff attorney, said this establishes it belongs to the city. Is that not y'all's legal representation? That's who established it. Not only this, they're hung up on the fact that part of their examining deed says Duncan Road, which is a private road. It never in their deed of any of their properties, because I pulled up every one of them, says it encompasses Duncan Drive.
Okay.
Every one of theirs say.
Let's suspend. Let me defer to legal.
Lenitha Pitts, part of the legal department. I'll say that the evidence he's presenting shows that the county believes that it belongs to the county. It is not conclusive because a judge is the only one that can make that decision. Changing the zoning on the property to allow access to Duncan Road, because when I read the zoning, it seemed like they wanted the property east of Duncan Road. But it happened to include the west property, but it was supposed to be just the property that was east of Duncan Drive, I'm sorry. But there is no other way for him to get, so if we don't approve this, then they will try to gate the property and he won't have access to it. They need to fight this in court themselves. So that's separate from removing the zoning restrictions.
So, so there's really two things that they need to do, okay? Number one is, we can remove item number one or change the wording and say, allow 2 accesses. This petitioner will be allowed 2 accesses, okay? To Duncan Road, okay? Well, so then he would probably need to go get a judge's decision on that letter also to concrete that thing in. So what my simple question was, will you be acceptable to removing item 1 and allowing you, the petitioner, to have 2 accesses to Duncan Road?
Only one access. Road dead ends into their property. And I encompass 30 acres all the way down the property. So all we're asking is because it's just lift the rezoning restriction, because I've already 60% complete on my house. I'm not.
Chair,
Commissioner O'Neill.
to the attorney of the opposing, if the petitioner agrees to only build those 2 houses, will that suffice your opposition? That he's already started on, he's already gotten approval at some point to build those houses?
They're sympathetic to that, but that is a problem that should have been resolved when the property was deeded out of the 129 acres or subdivided out of the 129 acres. Access should have been retained at that point, and so that's either a title claim or that's a claim against the conveyor for a fraudulent conveyance. But again, sympathetic to the situation, but this has been a family compound at the end of Duncan Drive for 60 years, and they don't want to disturb the nature of that.
Thank you.
That is not true. In 1994, if you allow me, long before I purchased product, long before the orchard came, the property was already divided with 30-something acres on this side with a deed from 1994, and then 110 acres on the orchard side with a deed with a recorded 50-foot easement right-of-way on that deed from 1994, which the county also has gotten. It has a prescription deed, and like I said, we were issued permits, and the build is 60% complete. We're supposed to move in June.
Can I ask a question? Director Delaney?
Commissioner.
I'm just wondering, since the city allowed them to get permits on this property and they've started building this property, what could we do to allow access?
Samuel Miller, Senior Staff Attorney, Law Department. The question was, because they've already started, what can we do to allow access? The answer is that's not our operation.
So once again, I mean, we've heard from both of our legal professionals. I think it is a lot of uncertainty that I don't think this planning commission is in a position to determine.
A question, Chair.
Commissioner O'Neill.
If we do not make a ruling, or maybe this is to staff, because I heard this mentioned, by us not being able to move forward with the information we have, does that give any party the ability to block that road?
So, I want to be super clear that there's a lot of questions being asked here. One of those questions is, if I call the sheriff's office, will they come and will they say something? No one in here is representing the sheriff's office. No one in here is talking on behalf of the sheriff's office. What their deputies do when they get there is their choice. What we're saying is that we're right here. There's no injunction currently in place from a court that'll ultimately, what we would recommend should decide this issue. And if they went to court, would finally decide this issue. We have evidence, and so to your question is that in terms of blocking the road, we have our opinion on that legal issue, but that's kind of separate from, again, that question is kind of separate from what you're deciding today, which is removing the zoning condition.
Can we get the legal department to just explain prescriptive easement, what that actually means? Prescriptive rights?
For the people that own the farm at the end of the road, if they block us out of our farm.
So even if I were to describe prescriptive easements and prescriptive rights to y'all, it wouldn't matter to what we're talking about today.
So let me say this. So we are a recommending body. The full commission actually determines, has the final decision. Is it reasonable that we can just move this to the full commission without a recommendation? And that also allows the legal department additional time to figure out what is the best course of action moving forward.
Yes, that it is within the bylaws and the ordinance for this body to move a matter to the commission without a recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I make a recommendation that we remove restrictive item number 1 for the petitioner and allow him to build 2 houses.
Okay, that didn't get a second. Is there another motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we move this to the Augusta-Richmond County Commission without action.
Second. It's been properly moved and second to move to the full commission without a recommendation.
We're going to do a roll call vote on this.
Did you want to, Commissioner McKnight?
I just am gonna ask real quick, like, if y'all can't make the decision here, when it comes to us, and Director Delaney and I see Attorney Plunkett, this might be where, and I can't answer for my colleagues, but might be something that would have to go and be taken care of in court. Yeah, that's probably, and I can't speak for the mayor and other commissioners, but from what I'm hearing and from watching planning and hearing planning and zoning, it might be beyond the point for us too, that it needs to go to court.
It's still up to y'all to remove the zoning conditions though, correct?
Well, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Yeah. Commissioner, those were any of your comments? Okay. Sam, it looked like you had something additional before we took the vote.
I shouldn't say anything.
Okay. All right. It's been properly moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to recommend that this move forward to the full commission without a recommendation. We're going to do a roll call vote here. I'm going to start with Mr. O'Neill. Yes. Mr. Prince.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Laracy.
Yes.
Mr. McKnight. I'm sorry. All right, Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Owens, I think he's gone. All right, Mr. Cooks.
Yes.
All right, so the motion carries. This will move forward to the Augusta Commission for a final determination with no recommendation from the Planning Commission. You will have the opportunity at the full commission to address this, both parties.
All right, we need to approve the
Next item
minutes
on the
from
agenda is the approval of the minutes. That's Cooks and O'Neill on that. All right. Law Department.
That's it. Commissioners, before you escape, I hope I don't get in trouble for doing this, but I, of course, we want to take a moment to acknowledge our treasured and beloved attorney and department director. If I'm not mistaken, this will be their last meeting with us. So we're going to miss them, but we wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you.
I still live here.
We're still here.